Welcome back. Thank you for staying with the Hot 7 TV Narfi News. In Monday's newscast, we revealed the current issues affecting the men and women of the traffic department who have set up shop outside their offices in a makeshift container. Not missing a beat, some members of the executive of the Police Welfare Association visited the mold-infested traffic department and expressed their disappointment with the current working conditions.
In a previous broadcast of the Hot 7 Nightly News, information was revealed about a mold infestation of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force's Traffic Department. Our camera crew happened to come across an outdoor makeshift office and a small shed that was being used by the Traffic Department for its operations. Public Relations Officer of the Police Welfare Association, Stanislaus Albert, says the executive of the PWA is disheartened about the unfavorable conditions that the officers of the Traffic Department are currently facing.
The mold situation at the Traffic Department was not identified by any individual member from the Traffic Department, but by another individual who came there to work on the AC. Because in the past we've been deemed to be mold experts, but it's a good thing this time around that the mold was discovered by someone else. And the individual indicated that he would not work on the ACs with regards to the amount of mold in the ACs and the surrounding area. There has been some discussion. The Traffic Department, I think a building was identified that the Traffic Department would be housing, but apparently I'm not sure what the reasons are, but they were sent elsewhere. With regards to the elsewhere that they have been sent, it is also of the view that this area too is not all that conducive for work, especially with regards to the area where the SOs from the Traffic Department are right now. I went there this morning, and I'm very much not happy about what I saw there this morning, because I can tell you, only the police, and I say that without fear or favor, only the police will work in these conditions. No other government department will work in these conditions.
Albert says on the PWA's end, a meeting will take place on Tuesday, 21st January, to iron out ways to rectify the situation. He notes steps will be taken to liaise with the executive of the RSLPF to identify a location that is conducive for work and environmentally safe.
To the members of the Traffic Department, I can assure them that we as the executive of the PWA will work in their best interest to ensure that they have somewhere which is conducive, somewhere that is encouraging, somewhere that will motivate them to work.
Meanwhile, President of the PWA, Travis Chico, says mold has long plagued the building that houses the Traffic Department. Chico views the issue as one that is tied into a bigger problem, that being the lack of a police headquarters.
It's really some area of concern for the Welfare Association. We know traffic, there's been a building identified for retrofitting to house the traffic unit, also the police tailor shop. This is where we are. We cannot again but to continue to emphasize the need for a proper police headquarters for the police. We are in 2020, and I don't think we should move past 2020 without a proper police headquarters. We need a police headquarters badly. It's really continuing to tear us apart based on where we are.
The PWA president says the police force will continue to be disenfranchised once there is no solid structure for policemen and women to identify as headquarters. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
With annually increasing temperatures and recent widespread devastation in Australia, the St. Lucia Fire Service is urging members of the public to be cautious and vigilant in the upcoming dry season. The St. Lucia Fire Service is appealing to the public to refrain from starting open fires during the approaching dry season. Acting Divisional Officer of the St. Lucia Fire Service, Jermaine Williams, says people are required to request site inspection from the fire service before igniting any outdoor or long-burning fires.
We need to be very careful in the way we set fires. The fire service requires that persons, civilians, seek permission, and there's a good reason for that. All right. If we come to your property and we inspect and we realize that it will not be safe to do the burning for whatever reason, we will inform you and we will say, well, no, we will not advise that you burn. I would even take it one step further to say that in the dry season, we do not advise anybody to do any burning for any reason whatsoever.
Williams says the increasing tendency of people to seek residence in woodland areas and on farming sites greatly increases their vulnerability to bushfires as surrounding areas weather out during the dry season. He says though the number of bushfires over the past few years has been low, he believes the recent Australia fire is an example of the capabilities of wildfires to spread and destroy anything in their path.
Fortunately for us in St. Lucia, we do not have that many naturally occurring fires, but those we do have, they consume vast portions of land. And it is important that we preserve as much as possible the land and the surrounding natural habitat for two reasons. We do. Most of those bushfires, like I said, those naturally occurring bushfires, they occur in places where agriculture is very, very prevalent. So that is one of the things that we need to be mindful of.
William underscores the importance of notifying the fire service of any areas which are suspected to be used for the illegal burning of garbage. William underscores the importance of notifying the fire service of any areas which are suspected to be used for the illegal burning of garbage. He urges members of the public to contact the Solid Waste Management Authority for disposal of all bulky waste and landscaping byproducts. Export St. Lucia has reported that in 2019, the agency saw great success in developing a variety of local businesses. Working directly through farmers' cooperatives, Export St. Lucia is fostering the emergence of St. Lucia's CMOS industry. With growing demand for the now dubbed St. Lucia CMOS, Export St. Lucia says it is working closely with the Ministry of Agriculture to commission a CMOS farmers registry.
In 2019, Export St. Lucia took on a number of ambitious endeavors, one of them being the development of St. Lucia's CMOS industry and the procurement of UK and US markets for the export of St. Lucia CMOS products. CEO Sunita Daniel touts the great success of the now highly demanded St. Lucia CMOS.
So we found a market for sun-dried CMOS first in the UK, and it became an experiment for us. Where can it go? What can we do? And so we engaged the Poirlin cooperative, which was very important for us because we like working with cooperatives because you're really impacting the lives of a lot of people at the community level. And the Poirlin cooperative came on board with us, and the Opicon group also came on board with us to do the first export of sun-dried CMOS to the UK. When it got to the UK, the reviews were tremendous.
Daniel says CMOS is growing to be one of St. Lucia's fastest expanding industries. In 2019, CMOS exports gathered a record revenue increase of $500,000 and created new employment for over 100 new farmers in Prale, Opicon, and Micoud. Daniel says as the demand for St. Lucia's CMOS increases, strict guidelines will be placed on the cultivation methods used on CMOS intended for export. She adds farmers will be required to be registered with the Ministry of Agriculture in order for their produce to be purchased for export.
That's the other thing we are working on, and we hope to accomplish in this upcoming year is to register, so persons know this is a registered seller of CMOS, and also to ensure, who do we call a CMOS farmer? How many lines do you have in the sea? So to put guidelines to really guide how CMOS production is done. I think for them it's all very new. They've been used to doing a lot by themselves, and so we just want them to know that we're here, we're available to them, we're available to guide them. They don't have to pay anything to be clients of Export St. Lucia, and you get a lot of advice, you get a lot of services to you, and we don't charge for any of those things. Our ultimate aim is just to ensure that our businesses are able to export and increase their exports.
Export St. Lucia has also been assisting traditional farmers with sourcing new markets to export fresh agricultural produce. In 2020, the agency hopes to build on the successes of the previous year. For Hot 7 News, I am Jacques Oding.
The effects of climate change are evident in St. Lucia's agricultural industry as farmers report drastic changes in the flowering and fruit seasons of various crops. The director of the Met Services attributes these changes to warmer temperatures and non-distinctive rainy seasons.
Climate change was predicted to bring increasingly extreme weather conditions globally, with some places experiencing severe droughts and others seeing increased flooding. It is evident that these changes are taking place in the environment. Locally, farmers report annually increasing fruit seasons, with various fruiting trees bearing for up to 8 months a year, as compared to a previous 3-month annual season. Director of Met Services Andre Joye explains the phenomenon as a direct reaction of plant species to the abundant bearing conditions, which are created when the annual rainy season extends to the previously distinctive dry period.
Because of the continuation of rainfall, so even though you have the dry season, you'd have rains falling in between, and I think that messes up the bearing season for the fruits. So you'd have them bearing maybe 2 or 3 times for the year.
Joye says this abundance appears to have major effects on several species of mango, as the streets become riddled with the fruits for months at a time as farmers face a repetitive glut.
I've noticed that mango trees are bearing 2 or 3 times, where you normally get one bearing season for the year. So it's possible that the rainfall and the cool temperatures during nights would cause the fruit trees to bear.
However, he says as the annual dry season grows narrower, plants which usually bear in this time will be affected adversely. He encourages farmers to explore the benefits of controlled greenhouse and orchid conditions in order to cultivate these crops. For Hot 7 News, I am Jacqueline.
In Antigua, Prime Minister Gaston Brown has kicked Agriculture Minister Dean Jonas from his cabinet, but has given him a chance to return in 6 months once he can make some changes, including improving the toxic relationships he has had with staff and farmers. Brown, who said he had been impressing on Jonas the need to do better since about mid-2019, wrote a letter to the embattled minister on Monday informing him that his termination would take effect that same day. Giving the reasons for his decision, the Prime Minister wrote to Jonas, quote, "For more than 6 months, I have tried to dissuade you from taking decisions inimical to good governance and to my government's policy. My attempts have been in vain. Your relationship with your staff in the ministry is toxic and continues to decline. And reports have reached me that the relationship with the farmers is also toxic and deteriorating further." End quote. The Prime Minister said he would give Jonas a 6-month period of reflection to give thought to correcting the nature of the relationships and for reconciliation. Once that period is over, the Prime Minister said his decision could be reversed. This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. There's more coming up after the break.